Welcome to Global Bible Reading. The book of 1 Samuel. Reading from the English version for the deaf. Chapter 11. About a month later, Nahash the Ammonite and his army surrounded Jabez Gilead. All the people of Jabez said to Nahash, "If you will make a treaty with us, we will serve you." But Nahash the Ammonite answered, "I will make a treaty with your people only if I can poke out the right eye of each person. Then all Israel will be ashamed." The leaders of Jabez said to Nahash, "Let us have 7 days. We will send messengers through all Israel. If no one comes to help us, we will come up to you and surrender to you." The messengers came to Gibeah where Saul lived. They told the news to the people. The people cried loudly. Saul had been out in the field with his cows. Saul came in from the field and heard the people crying. Saul asked, "What's wrong with the people? Why are they crying?" Then the people told Saul what the messengers from Jabez said. Saul listened to their story. The God's Spirit came on Saul with great power. Saul became very angry. Saul took a pair of cows and cut them in pieces. Then he gave the pieces of those cows to messengers. He ordered the messengers to carry the pieces throughout the land of Israel. He told them to give this message to the people of Israel: "Come, follow Saul and Samuel. If any person does not come and help them, then this same thing will happen to his cows. A great fear from the Lord come on the people." They all came together like one person. Saul gathered the men together at Bezek. There were 300,000 men from Israel and 30,000 men from Judah. Saul and his army told the messengers from Jabez, "Tell the people at Jabez in Gilead that by noon tomorrow you will be saved." The messengers told Saul's message to the people at Jabez. The people at Jabez were very happy. Then the people of Jabez said to Nahash the Ammonite, "Tomorrow we will come to you. Then you can do anything you want to us." The next morning Saul separated his soldiers into 3 groups. At sunrise, Saul and his soldiers entered the Ammonite camp. Saul attacked while they were changing guards that morning. Saul and his soldiers defeated the Ammonites before noon. The Ammonite soldiers all ran away in different directions. No 2 soldiers stayed together. Then the people said to Samuel, "Where are the people who said they did not want Saul to rule as king? Bring those people here, and we will kill them." But Saul said, "No, don't kill anyone today. The Lord saved Israel today." Then Samuel said to the people, "Come, let us go to Gilgal. At Gilgal we will again make Saul the king." All the people went to Gilgal. There, in front of the Lord, the people made Saul king. They offered fellowship offerings to the Lord. Saul and all the Israelites had a great celebration. Chapter 12. Samuel said to all Israel, "I have done everything you wanted me to do. I have put a king over you. Now you have a king to lead you. I am old and gray, but my sons are here with you. I have been your leader since I was a young boy. Here I am. If I have done anything wrong, You must tell these things to the Lord and his chosen king. Did I steal anyone's cow or donkey? Did I hurt or cheat anyone? Did I ever take money or even a pair of shoes to do something wrong? If I did any of these things, then I will make it right. The Israelites answer, No, you never did anything bad to us. You never cheated us or took things from us. Samuel said to the Israelites, The Lord and his chosen king are witness today. They heard what you say. They know what you could find nothing wrong with me. The people answer, Yes, the Lord is witness. Then Samuel said to the people, The Lord has seen what happened. The Lord is the one who does Moses and Aaron, and he is the one who brought your ancestors out of Egypt. Now stand there, and I will tell you about the good things the Lord did for you and your ancestors. Jacob went to Egypt. Later, the Egyptians made life hard for his descendants, so they cried to the Lord for help. The Lord sent Moses and Aaron. Moses and Aaron took your ancestors out of Egypt and led them to live in this place. But your ancestors forgot the Lord their God. So the Lord let them become the slaves of Sisera. Sisera was the commander of the army at Hazor. And the Lord let them become the slaves of the Philistines and the king of Moab. They all fought against your ancestors. But your ancestors cried to the Lord for help. They said, We have sinned. We left the Lord, and we served the false gods Baal and Ashtoreth. But now save us from our enemies, and we will serve you. So the Lord sent Jeroboam, Gideon, Barak, Jephthah, and Samuel. The Lord saved you from your enemies around you, and you live in safety. But when you saw Nahash, king of Ammonites, coming to fight against you, you said, No, we want a king to rule over us. You said that even though the Lord your God was already your king, now here is the king you choose. The Lord put this king over you. You must fear and respect the Lord. You must serve him and obey his commands. You must not turn against him. You and the king ruling over you must follow the Lord your God. If you do these things, then God will save you. But if you don't obey the Lord and if you turn against him, then he will be against you. The Lord will destroy you and your king. Now stand still and see the great thing the Lord will do before your eyes. Now is the time of the wheat harvest. I will pray to the Lord. I will ask him to send thunder and rain. Then you will know you did a very bad thing against the Lord when you asked for a king. So Samuel prayed to the Lord. That same day the Lord sent thunder and rain. And the people became very afraid of the Lord and Samuel. All the people said to Samuel, Pray to the Lord your God for us, your servants. Don't let us die. We have sinned many times, and now we have added to those sins. We have asked for a king. Samuel answered, Don't be afraid. It is true. You did all those bad things, but don't stop following the Lord. Serve the Lord with all your heart. Idols are only statues. They cannot help you, so don't worship them. Idols cannot help you or save you. They are nothing. But the Lord would not leave his people. No, the Lord was pleased to make you his own people. So, for his own good name, he won't leave you. And as for me, I would never stop praying for you. If I stop praying for you, then I would be sinning against the Lord. I will continue to teach you the right way to live a good life. But you must honor the Lord. You must truly serve the Lord with all your heart. Remember the wonderful things He did for you. But if you are stubborn and do evil, then God will throw you and your king away, like sweeping dirt out with a broom. Chapter 13. At that time Saul had been king 1 year. After Saul had ruled over Israel 2 years, he chose 3,000 men from Israel. There were 2,000 men who stayed with him at Masmas, in the hill country of Bethel. There were 1,000 men who stayed with Jonathan at Gibeah in Benjamin. Saul sent the other men in the army back home. Jonathan defeated Philistines at their camp in Gibeah. The Philistines heard about this. They said, "The Hebrews have rebelled." Saul said, "Let the Hebrew people hear what happened." So Saul told the men to blow trumpets through all the land of Israel. All the Israelites heard the news. They said, "Saul has killed the Philistine leader." Now the Philistines really hate the Israelites. The people of Israel were called to join Saul at Gilgal. The Philistines gathered to fight Israel. The Philistines had 3,000 chariots and 6,000 horse soldiers. There were as many Philistine soldiers as sand on the shore. The Philistines came at Machmah. Machmah is east of Beth-aven. The Israelites saw that they were in trouble. They fell trapped. They ran away to hide in caves and cracks in the rock. They hide among the rocks, in wells, and in other holes in the ground. Some Hebrews even went across the Jordan River to the land of Gad and Gilead. Saul was still at Gilgal. All the men in his army were shaking with fear. Samuel said he would meet Saul at Gilgal. Saul waited there 7 days, but Samuel had not yet come to Gilgal. And the soldiers began to lift Saul. So Saul said, "Bring me the burnt offerings and the fellowship offerings." Then Saul offered the burnt offering. As soon as Saul finished offering the sacrifice, Saul arrived. Saul went out to meet him. Samuel asked, "What have you done?" Saul answered, "I saw the soldiers leaving me. You were not here on time, and the Philistines were gathering at Michmash. I thought to myself, the Philistines will come here and attack me at Gilgal, and I haven't asked the Lord to help us yet. So I forced myself to offer the burnt offering." Samuel said, "You did a foolish thing. You did not obey the Lord your God. If you had obeyed God's command, then He would have let your family rule Israel forever. But now your kingdom will not continue. The Lord was looking for a man who wants to obey Him. The Lord has found that man, and the Lord is choosing him to be the new leader of His people. You did not obey the Lord's command, so the Lord is choosing a new leader." Then Samuel got up and left Gilgal. Saul and the rest of his army left Gilgal. They went to Gibeah in Benjamin. Saul counted the men who were still with him. There were about 600 men. Saul, his son Jonathan, and the soldiers went to Gibeah in Benjamin. The Philistines came at Michmash. The Philistines decided to punish the Israelites living in that area. So their best soldiers began the attack. The Philistine army split into three groups. One group went north on the road to Ophrah near Sual. The second group went southeast on the road to Beth Horon. And the third group went east on the road to the border. That road looks over the valley of Zeboim toward the desert. None of the people of Israel could make things from iron. There were not any blacksmiths in Israel. The Philistines did not teach the Israelites how to make things from iron because the Philistines were afraid the Israelites would make iron swords and spears. Only the Philistines could sharpen iron tools. So, if the Israelites needed to sharpen their blows, hoes, axes, and sickles, they had to go to the Philistines. The Philistines' blacksmiths charged 1/3 ounce of silver for sharpening blows and hoes, and they charged 1/6 ounce of silver for sharpening picks, axes, and the iron tip on ox goads. So on the day of battle, none of the Israelite soldiers with Saul had iron sword or spears. Only Saul and his son Jonathan had iron weapons. A group of Philistine soldiers guarded the mountain pass at Michmash. Chapter 14. That day Saul's son Jonathan was talking with the young man who carried his weapons. Jonathan said, "Let's go to the Philistine camp on the other side of the valley." But Jonathan did not tell his father. Saul was sitting under a pomegranate tree in a Migron at the edge of the hill. This was near the threshing floor at the place. Saul had about 600 men with him. One man was named Ahijah. Eli had been the Lord's priest at Shiloh. Now Ahijah was the priest. Ahijah now wore the ephod. Ahijah was a son of Izabod's brother Ahitub. Izabod was the son of Phinehas. Phinehas was the son of Eli. The people did not know that Jonathan had left. There was a large rock on each side of the pass. Jonathan planned to go through that pass and go to the Philistine camp. The large rock on one side was named Bozez. The large rock on the other side was named Senech. One large rock stood looking north toward Michmash. The other large rock stood looking south toward Gibeah. Jonathan said to his young helper who carried his weapons, "Come on, let's go to the camp of those foreigners. Maybe the Lord will use us to defeat these people. Nothing can stop the Lord, it doesn't matter if we have many soldiers or just a few soldiers." The young man who carried Jonathan's weapon said to him, "Do what you think is best. I am with you all the way." Jonathan said, "Let's go. We'll cross the valley and go to those Philistine guards. We will let them see us. If they say to us, 'Stay there until we come to you,' we will stay where we are. We won't go up to them. But if the Philistine men say, 'Come up here,' we will climb up to them. Why? Because that will be a sign from God. That will mean that the Lord will allow us to defeat them. So Jonathan and his helper let the Philistines see them. The Philistines' guards say, "Look, the Hebrews are coming. Cut up the holes they were hiding in." The Philistines in the fort shouted to Jonathan and his helper, "Come up here. We will teach you a lesson." Jonathan said to his helper, "Follow me up the hill. The Lord is letting Israel defeat the Philistines." So Jonathan climbed up the hill with his hands and feet, and his helper was right behind him. Jonathan and his helper attacked those Philistines. In the first attack, they killed 20 Philistines in an area about 1/2 acre in size. Jonathan fought the men who attacked from the front, and Jonathan's helper came behind him and killed the men who were only wounded. All of the Philistine soldiers become scared. The soldiers in the field, the soldiers in the camp, and the soldiers at the fort. Even the bravest soldiers were scared. The ground began to shake, and that really scared the Philistine soldiers. Saul's guards at Gibeah in the land of Benjamin saw the Philistine soldiers running away in different ways. Saul said to the army with him, "Count the men. I want to know who left came." They counted the men. Jonathan and his helper were gone. Saul said to Ahijah, "Bring God's holy box." At that time, God's holy box was there with the Israelites. Saul was taking to Ahijah the priest. Saul was waiting for advice from God. But the noise and confusion in the Philistine camp was growing and growing. Saul was becoming impatient. Finally, Saul said to Ahijah the priest, "That's enough. Put your hand down and stop praying." Saul gathered his army together and went to the battle. The Philistine soldiers were really confused. They were even fighting each other with their swords. There were Hebrews who served the Philistines in the past and who stayed in the Philistine camp. But now these Hebrews joined the Israelites with Saul and Jonathan. All the Israelites who had hidden in the hill country of Ephraim heard that Philistine soldiers were running away. So these Israelites also joined the battle and began chasing the Philistines. So the Lord saved the Israelites that day. The battle moved on past Beth Aven. The whole army was with Saul, about 10,000 men. The battle spread to every city in the hill country of Ephraim. But Saul made a big mistake that day. The Israelites were tired and hungry. This was because Saul forced the people to make this promise. Saul said, "If any man eats food before evening comes, and before I finish defeating my enemies, then that man will be punished." So none of the Israelite soldiers ate any food. Because of the fighting, the people went into some woods. Then they saw a honeycomb on the ground. The Israelites went up to the honeycomb, but they did not eat any. They were afraid to break the promise. But Jonathan did not know about that promise. Jonathan did not hear his father's force the people to make that promise. Jonathan had a stick in his hand. He dipped the end of the stick into the honeycomb and pulled out some honey. He ate the honey and began to feel much better. One of the soldiers told Jonathan, Your father forced the soldiers to make a special promise. Your father said that any man who eats today will be punished. So the men have not eaten anything. That is why the men are weak. Jonathan said, "My father has brought a lot of trouble to the land. See how much better I feel after just tasting a little of this honey. It would have been much better for the men to eat the food that they took from their enemies today. We could have killed many more Philistines." That day the Israelites defeated the Philistines. They fought them all the way from Michmash to Aijalon. So the people were very tired and hungry. They had taken sheep, cows, and calves from the Philistines. Now the people of Israel were so hungry. They killed the animals on the ground and ate them, and the blood was still in the animals. A person said to Saul, "Look, the men are sinning against the Lord. They are eating meat that still has blood in it." Saul said, "You have sinned. Roll a large stone over here." Now, then Saul said, "Go to the men and tell them, each person must bring his bull and sheep to me. The men must kill their bulls and sheep here. Don't sin against the Lord. Don't eat meat and still has blood in it." That night every person brought his animals and killed them there. Then Saul built an altar for the Lord. Saul himself began building that altar for the Lord. Saul said, "Let's go after the Philistines tonight. We will take everything from them. We will kill them all." The army answered, "Do whatever you think is best." But the priest said, "Let's ask God." So Saul asked God, "Should I go chase the Philistines? Will you let us defeat the Philistines?" But God did not answer Saul that day. So Saul said, "Bring all the leaders to me. Let's find who did the sin today. I swear, promise by the Lord who saves Israel. Even if my own son Jonathan did the sin, he must die." None of the people said a word. Then Saul said to all the Israelites, "You stand on this side. I and my son Jonathan will stand on the other side." The soldiers answered, "As you wish, sir." Then Saul prayed, "Lord God of Israel, why haven't you answered your servant today? If I or my son Jonathan have sinned, Lord God of Israel, give Urim. If your people Israel have sinned, give Thummim." Saul and Jonathan were chosen, and the people went free. Saul said, "Throw them again to Saul. Who is guilty, me or my son Jonathan?" Jonathan was chosen. Saul said to Jonathan, "Tell me what you have done." Jonathan told Saul, "I only tasted a little honey from the end of my stick. Should I die for doing that?" Saul said, "I made it promise and asked God to punish me. If I did not keep my promise, Jonathan must die." But these soldiers said to Saul, "Jonathan led Israel to a great victory today. Must Jonathan die? Never. We swear, promise by the living God, that no one will hurt Jonathan. Not one hair of Jonathan's head will fall to the ground." God helped Jonathan fight against the Philistines today. So the people saved Jonathan. He was not put to death. Saul did not chase the Philistines. The Philistines went back to their place. Saul took full control of Israel. Saul fought all the enemies that lived around Israel. Saul fought Moab, the Ammonites, Edom, the king of Zobah, and the Philistines. Saul defeated Israel's enemies wherever he went. Saul was very brave. Saul saved Israel from all the enemies who tried to take things from the people of Israel. Saul defeated even the Amalekites. Saul's sons were Jonathan, Ishvi, and Malchishua. Saul's older daughter was named Merab. Saul's younger daughter was named Michal. Saul's wife was named Ahinoam. Ahinoam was the daughter of Ahimaaz. The commander of Saul's army was named Abner, son of Ner. Ner was Saul's uncle. Saul's father Kish and Abner's father Ner were sons of Abiel. Saul was brave all his life. He fought hard against the Philistines. Anytime Saul saw a man who was strong or brave, he took that man and put him into the group of soldiers that stayed near the king and protected him. Chapter 15. One day Samuel said to Saul, "The Lord sent me to anoint you king over his people, Israel. Now listen to the Lord's message. The Lord all-powerful says, when the Israelites came out of Egypt, the Amalekites tried to stop them from going to Canaan. I saw what the Amalekites did. Now go fight against the Amalekites. You must completely destroy the Amalekites and everything that belongs to them. Don't let anything live. You must kill all the men and women and all of their children and little babies. You must kill all of their cows and sheep and all of their camels and donkeys. Saul gathered the army together at Telaim. There were 200,000 foot soldiers and 10,000 other men. That includes the men from Judah. Then Saul went to the city of Amalek and waited in the valley. Saul said to the Canaanite people, "Go away, leave the Amalekites. Then I will destroy you with the Amalekites." You showed kindness to the Israelites when they came out of Egypt. So the Canaanite people left the Amalekites. Saul defeated the Amalekites. He fought them and chased them all the way from Havilah to Shur at the border of Egypt. Agag was the king of the Amalekites. Saul captured Agag alive. Saul let Agag live, but he killed all the men in Agag's army. Saul and the Israelite soldiers felt bad about destroying everything, so they let Agag live. They also kept the fat cows, the best sheep, and the best lambs, and they kept everything that was worth keeping. They did not want to destroy those things. They destroyed only the things that were not worth keeping. Then Samuel received a message from the Lord. The Lord said, "Saul has stopped following me, so I am sorry that I made Saul king. He is not doing what I tell him. Samuel became angry and cried to the Lord all night. Samuel got up early the next morning and went to meet Saul. But the people told Samuel, Saul went to the town in Judah named Carmel. Saul went there to set up a stone monument to honor himself. Saul is traveling around to several places and will finally go down to Gilgal. So Samuel went to the place where Saul was. Saul had just offered the first part of the things he took from the Amalekites. Saul was offering them as a burnt offering to the Lord. Samuel went to Saul, and Saul said, Hello. Saul said, Lord bless you. I obey the Lord's commands. But Samuel said, Then what is that sound I hear? Why do I hear sheep and cattle? Saul said, The soldiers took them from the Amalekites. The soldiers saved the best sheep and cattle to burn as sacrifices to the Lord your God. But we destroy everything else. Samuel said to Saul, Stop, let me tell you what the Lord said to me last night. Saul answered, Fine, tell me what he said. Samuel said, In the past you thought you were not important, but then you become the leader of the family groups of Israel. The Lord chose you to be king over Israel. The Lord sent you on a special mission. The Lord said, Go and destroy all of the Amalekites. They are evil people. Destroy them all. Fight them until they are completely finished. But you did not listen to the Lord. Why? You wanted to keep those things, so you did what the Lord said is bad. Saul said, But I did obey the Lord. I went where the Lord sent me. I destroyed all the Amalekites. I brought back only one person, their king Agag. And the soldiers took the best sheep and cattle to sacrifice to the Lord your God at Gilgal. But Samuel answered, Which pleases the Lord more, burnt offerings and sacrifices, or obeying the Lord's command? It is better to obey God than to offer sacrifices to Him. It is better to listen to God than to offer the fat from rams. Refusing to obey is as bad as the sin of sorcery. Being stubborn and doing what you want is like the sin of worshipping idols. You refuse to obey the Lord's command. For this reason, the Lord now refuses to accept you as king. Then Saul said to Samuel, I have sinned. I did not obey the Lord's commands, and I did not do what you told me. I was afraid of the people, and I did what they said. Now I beg you, forgive me for doing this sin. Come back with me, so I may worship the Lord. But Samuel said to Saul, I will go back with you. You refuse the Lord's command. And now the Lord refuses you as king of Israel. When Samuel turned to leave, Saul caught Samuel's robe. The robe tore. Samuel said to Saul, You tore my robe. In the same way, the Lord has torn the kingdom of Israel from you today. The Lord has given the kingdom to one of your friends. This man is a better person than you. The Lord is the God of Israel. The Lord lives forever. The Lord does not lie or change his mind. The Lord is not like a man who changes his mind. Saul answered, "All right, I sinned, but please come back with me. Show me some respect in front of the leaders and the people of Israel. Come back with me so I may worship the Lord your God." Samuel went back with Saul, and Saul worshipped the Lord. Samuel said, "Bring Agag, the king of the Amalekites, to me." Agag came to Samuel. Agag was tied up with chains. Agag thought, "Surely he won't kill me." But Samuel said to Agag, "Your sword took babies from their mothers. So now your mother will have no children." And Samuel cut Agag to pieces before the Lord at Gilgal. Then Samuel left and went to Ramah, and Saul went up to his home in Gibeah. After that, Samuel never saw Saul again all his life. Samuel was very sad for Saul, and the Lord was very sorry that he had made Saul king of Israel.